Shalom, Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises unto YAHAWAH, Yahawadah. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the mighty Akim, who are diligently waiting to be delivered from this foul captivity. This is Brother Kawaka coming at you with another lesson. Today's lesson, we're just going to flow through the Spirit. I had a lesson in mind, but I had quickly forgot about it. I didn't write it down. But basically, there's been, recently I've been doing a lot of lessons on DJT, alright, with all the stuff that he's been doing, and primarily the whole thing with the, now I remember the lesson. Primarily the thing with the whole justifying Jeffrey Epstein, not wanting to say, there's no list, there's no this, there's no that, and whatnot. It's like Esau always gets to, make the rules, bend the rules, do some bullshit of never ever having to be held accountable for the actions that he did. All right, and this is a societal thing that is running rampant. All right, this is a societal thing that everyone seems to be doing. They don't want to be held accountable for the things that they do, even though even when they do something wrong, okay, it's always the victim's fault. The person that gets wronged, they're at fault for being the victim. They're at fault for something happening to them. All right, it's never someone wronged you and they have to pay for what they did. All right, it's always the opposite. And that's how this society. Let me get that as a matter of fact. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 7, I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth. Alright, basically goes to illustrate how upside down the world is right now, where the things that are viewed as right are viewed as wrong, and the things that are viewed as wrong are viewed as right. Alright, and that's another thing with how, let me get that verse. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 3, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach is Yahweh. Alright? So basically there's the hierarchy where it's the man at it's the Lord Yahweh at the top, then it's the mediator, the son, Yahawashi, then it's the man, then it's the woman, and then it's the kids, pets, whatever, all that other stuff, okay? Right, that's the hierarchy of things, all right? But the funny thing is that things have been flipped upside down to the point where it's like, first it's the woman, it's like the complete opposite, all right? It's the woman, then the man, then Yahawashi, then it's Yahweh. All right, in the eyes of this society, okay, and that's how they do it, because people idolize Yahawashi, and when I say Yahawashi, I mean whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, they idolize the man more than the Creator. All right, let me get that. Romans chapter 1 verse 25, who changed the truth of Yahweh into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. All right. So the people, they are worshiping the creature, the created being, the creation, rather than the Creator. All right. And that's the thing. That's how upside down the society is, because every time it comes to stuff like this, you hear people saying, "Oh, why didn't God fix this? Or why didn't God stop slavery? Why didn't God stop all these natural disasters from these quote-unquote innocent people?" Okay, well, very clearly, those people aren't innocent. All right. I think recently there was a whole thing with in Texas, all right, where there was a flood. Lots of people lost their houses, lost their lives, all right, lost a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. Firstly, Psalms 37 verse 25, "I have been young and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread." All right, so that's the first part. There's never ever been the righteous forsaken. Now let me also get this in Sirach chapter 2 verse 10. "Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded, or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him?" All right, crazy day today. But whoever despised, whoever trusted in the Lord, in the true Lord, Yahawah, okay? Which that's the thing. You can't be worshiping no other God's name. All right, you can't be worshiping no other God, and that's the thing. The people of today, they're not worshiping the Lord. All right, and even then, even if they knew who the Lord was, they're still following after him under certain conditions. All right, and that's the thing. Because that's the thing. People have their own viewpoint or their own belief in what the Lord believes. Hold on one second. All right, Slakia. Anyway, as I said, people have their own beliefs on what they believe the Lord Yahawah is like. Okay, they think the Lord is going to accept you for being a homosexual. They think that the Lord's going to accept you for being, a demon, breaking his laws, breaking his word, not following after his words. All right, when that's not what the Lord is about. Okay, obviously you have to follow what the Lord says. Obviously you have to, make sacrifices. All right. As a matter of fact, let's get that, because I just had that in another lesson. It was Matthew 16:24. "Then said Yahawadah unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." All right. So that's the thing. You have to deny yourself, deny your flesh, deny your lust, deny your desires of, "Oh yeah, I want to do this. Oh yeah, I want to do that." Okay. Rather than doing that, all right, you should be saying, "Okay, you know what? I want to please the Lord. So as a result of that, I'm not gonna just do whatever I want. I'm gonna take the steps to pleasing the Lord. All right, take the steps to say, okay, you know what? The Lord wants me to do this. Or the Lord expects this from me. All right. So of course, the Lord's gonna take some time to and it's that same thing of the same way that you're able to say, okay, you know what? I want this. I'm going to do this, but rather than doing this, I'm going to let the Lord. I'm going to prioritize the Lord's desires over my own. All right. So of course the Lord's going to say, okay, you know what? That's my faithful servant, that's my faithful son or daughter, whatever, that loves me, heavenly son or daughter that loves me and are doing their best to please me. Okay, the same way that a parent sees their child, they like for example, like your child wants to go out at night or whatever, and you tell them no because it's dangerous. They say, and then they respect that. They say, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna go. I know you love me. I know you only want to see good for me. So I'm just gonna forget about whatever party, whatever bullshit that I'm gonna go do. All right, just for the sake of my trust and love in you. And in that same thing, you develop a closer relationship, and the parent, all right, wants to please you. The parent wants to do right for you. All right, the parent wants to reward you for your obedience. All right, the same way the Lord YAHAWAH is our heavenly Father and wants to reward us for our obedience, for our dedication to Him. All right, so yeah, these are the things that you need to consider with YAHAWAH, denying yourself, denying your lust, denying your flesh to satisfy the Lord. All right, denying what you want to do because it might not be the best thing to do right now. Okay, it might not be, most expedient thing. Let's get that. First Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12, all things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought down under the power of any. Let me also get 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23, all things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Okay, so it's not the best course of action to always do stuff. Okay, it's not going to be the thing that's going to edify you. Playing video games that may or may not edify you. Sometimes there are certain lessons. As a matter of fact, funnily enough, I did play a game that I was able to turn into a lesson. All right, and it's on my channel. But aside from that, other things, there might be other things that might not be the best thing to help build you in the spirit. So you can do it if you want to, like playing video games, but at the same time, it's not always the best thing to do. All right, you get it? So continuing on. The next thing I want to talk about. The next thing I want to talk about is how in Christianity, I've been watching some videos, all right, some Christian videos, and I saw this one YouTube channel that basically bastardized and changed the entirety of that whole story. What happened in the story, I forgot where it is in the scriptures. So let me see if I can find it. It's in Judges. I know it's in Judges. Found it already. Cool. Judges chapter 1. Judges chapter 19, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. All right. Now, okay, in the video that I saw, okay, because I did a whole lesson on this already. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but I am. But I am gonna briefly touch upon the main thing. All right. And I don't remember exactly what they were saying. But what I do remember is they took this entire chapter, this whole chapter talks about this, all right? And what happens is he changes he changes the understanding, the biblical understanding. He changes the biblical understanding of what marriage is. Okay, he modernizes it. He modernizes it to incite emotions in people and to make it seem like this Levite is wicked when he's not. What he basically said was that, oh, instead of loving his wife, he hates her. All right, and instead of being nice to her, he's mean to her and stuff like that. Okay, he said, oh, he's such a terrible person. This is the worst story in the Bible. This is the worst thing that could ever happen to a woman. He treated her like trash, X, Y, and Z. All right, and long story short, what happens in the end of the story was the Levite, this Levite, okay, who had a concubine, all right, he ends up leaving her off to be, can I say that word? Okay, I'm not going to say that word, but he leaves her to be taken, all right, by a group of men that were trying to rape the Levite man, all right? The group of men take the concubine instead. They do what they want with her, and then she dies, okay? After she dies, the Levite man cuts her into multiple pieces and sends each of her body parts off to the separate tribes of Judah. Oh, sorry, not Judah. The separate tribes, all right, which caused the war. Now he took that and he changed it to be, oh, this man, he only just used her to save himself. He didn't even try to save her. He didn't do this. He hates her. He was treating her like trash. But then he ignored in his explanation and in the entirety of his entire video, he said he did that for no reason and he didn't explain why, which is literally in the second verse. It's literally in the second verse, and I'm about to read it right now. Judges chapter 19, verse 2. And his concubine played the whore against him and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months. All right. So for 4 months, his concubine left him and slept with another man. All right. She was in, she committed adultery against her husband and was away from him for 4 months. All right. And conveniently, all right. And that's the thing. That's the thing about this whole thing. That's the thing about this whole, what's it called? That's the thing about this whole Christianity thing. They change the stuff to fit their own narrative. Okay, I'll admit, that's not a whole all-encompassing Christianity thing, which is what Christians do to us. They like to take one person's belief, okay, and say, oh, that's all Hebrew Israelites, or all Hebrew Israelites think this way, when that's not the case. All right, so I'm not going to be like them. All right, but I will say this is what this one channel, this one Christian channel did, where they took one instance, they took one story, they intentionally left certain pieces of information out and lied. They completely lied. All right, and there was another channel that did the exact same thing. I forgot which story it was. It was about I wish I could remember, but basically, again, that's what they were doing. They're taking certain pieces of information, intentionally leaving it out to paint the story of a certain thing, and that ruins the reputation of certain prophets, of certain biblical figures in these stories. Okay, because the Levite man was righteous he was righteous. He didn't do anything wrong. All right. It was the concubine that was wicked. All right. She had betrayed him. He didn't betray her. All right. And then how can you? And then Slakia in verse 3, it says, and her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her. So he was over here saying, okay, you know what? I know you did this. I forgive you. Let's get back together, whatnot, and stuff like that. even though she betrayed him. And then he was trying to keep the peace. He was trying to do all that stuff. All right, let's continue on. And to verse 3, and her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her and to bring her again, having her servant with him and a couple of asses. And she brought him unto her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. Slaki. Basically, yeah. So that's what happened. That's what actually happened. All right. It's not he did something wrong. He was just evil for the sake of being evil. No, she was the one that was in the wrong. She initiated it. All right. And then, as a result of that, the Lord made it so that, because suck it, that's the thing. That's another thing, all right? Because she was wicked, the Lord didn't save her, all right? That was just straight up, flat out judgment from the Lord. And let me actually get another example of this in bear with me a moment, I'm going to get this. Genesis chapter 19. Verse 4, but before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. All right, so basically, you have these the people of Sodom, the men of Sodom that wanted to commit sodomy on the angels of the Lord that had visited Lot. All right. And then he said, verse 6, and Lot went out at the door unto them and shut the door after them and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. So basically, basically what happened was Lot was saying that don't do this sodomy stuff, okay? Instead, I will give you my 2 daughters who have never been with a man, okay? So as a result of that, it was better for them to have slept with women rather than men, all right? That was basically what Lot was trying to say, all right? Rather than just giving them up to them just for the sake of it, all right? Because there's no sin in a man and a woman, sleeping together, all right? That's why Lot was saying, don't do this. Now, to continue on, so you can get the parallel, you see the parallel between Lot and his daughters and the Levi and his concubine in Judges 19, which, by the way, funnily enough, they're both in chapter 19 in separate books. All right. Verse 9, and they said, stand back, and they said again, this one fellow came into sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed sword upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said to Lot, Hast thou here any besides son-in-law and thy daughter and their son-in-law and thy sons and their daughter and thy daughters? Let me start over. Verse 12. And the men said unto Lot, these are the angels of the Lord, by the way, Hast thou here any besides son-in-law and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord. And the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. And he seemed as one that mocked onto his sons-in-law. So basically, the angels of the Lord were protected Lot's daughters, because the daughters weren't wicked. The daughters weren't wicked. They didn't do anything that was deserving of them to have to go through such a terrible predicament. All right. Now let me continue. Let me get this instead. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 21. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. All right. So the Lord, if you didn't do anything that warrants you having something terrible happen to you, the Lord's not going to let any evil or let any harm come upon you. All right. The Lord's going to protect you, and that was the thing. That was the duality. That was the separation between Lot's daughters, all right, and the Levite's concubine in Judges 19. The concubine, she had committed adultery against the Levite. So of course, when put in that position to have evil happen to her, all right, the Levite was put in an impossible situation, and she died as a result of it. And again, that's what happened with these Christians. They take this, they leave out certain important pieces of information in order to sensationalize it, to make it a big thing where it's not really. It's very clearly just judgment from the Lord for what the concubine did to the Levite man. The Levite man wasn't no demon, okay? He didn't do anything wrong. He had a wife, and then the wife, he had the concubine. The concubine left him for 4 months, and then she slept with other men, all right? Another man, whatever, all right? She had betrayed him, all right? And then as a result of that, that's basically it. It's not. There's no need to make it anything more than it is, and there's absolutely no need to change up the story to fit your feminist narrative. All right, and that's the thing. The Lord never. There's already stories in the scriptures that show the bravery of women. All right, there was that one time I believe Esther, the book of Esther. There's that one woman that killed a man, that killed a leader of a heathen nation. There's a one woman that had stabbed a heathen man, and he said, "Kill me, don't let me die to my wounds of a woman." All right. There are different stories, all right, that you can see where there are actual, genuine women of the Lord. There's that one woman that had rose up her husband to to go and fight for the Lord. Say, don't be acting all weak and stuff like that. Okay, do that, and that's a proper woman of the Lord. All right, that's a woman that supports her husband and is pleasing in the sight of the YAHAWAH. Okay, not someone that's, oh, I'm gonna go do the lust of my own flesh and whatnot. All right, which you have so many people that get stuff fucked up. All right, they think that stuff is all about, oh yeah, let me do my own thing. All right, no, it's a partnership. It's a partnership of well, it might not be an equal partnership, but you know, we each have our different roles to fulfill. Okay, the men of the Lord are supposed to be coming out here on the highways and byways, and the women are supposed to keep at the house. Okay, supporting the man when he's down and whatnot, not being another obstacle in that man's life. You know, which a lot of Israelite women are like that these days. Okay, you know, a man has to deal with all the problems and pressure at work or outside in this society, and then he comes home to his wife, his woman, or whatever, any type of woman, giving him hell. All right, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be a rest. All right, a rest in this wicked society, not another problem to deal with. All right, no man should have to handle you. All right, you should already be compliant, cooperative. All right. Oh, but that's the thing that they don't want to hear. All right. They don't want to take responsibility for their own actions of pushing their own men away. And then when their men, because I heard this one story about there was some Jake men, so-called black men, that had went to Japan specifically. All right, and there was some so-called black women that went to Japan as well. They were separately. They didn't know each other. All right. The so-called black women were trying to, talk to the so-called black men, but then she complained on the internet, saying, oh, the so-called black men in Japan, they act like you don't even exist and stuff like that. Well, no shit. They left America to find some Japanese women that are actually submissive. They didn't leave one country to go find a rebellious so-called black woman. All right. So no shit, he's gonna be like, okay, yeah, I don't want to talk to you. He said, of course he would be like that. He didn't go to Japan to meet with you. He went to go find some submissive women. All right, and that was the thing that was like, that's crazy to be able to even say that, or even to think that a so-called black man wanted to be with you, especially if he's in Japan. All right, but yeah, that's basically it. I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahawah, Hashem, Yahawashi, Hashem, double honors to the elders and apostles of great millstone, the ball, and Shalom.